Hello everyone, welcome to the God Stack. Hello everyone, it's welcome to the another Stack. Day. Hello everyone, and I was with the thing open. Now I believe it's better. Well, welcome to another day. Welcome Bruno. How are you? How was your week? How was your day? What you doing?
Hello, good night. Here it's evening yet, but today was a good day. A lot of things to do. A busy day, but everything is fine and ready to go to another the God Stack episode.
That's nice. Well, what we have to do today, it's work. We will first of all work a little bit with the password, how to hash the password, and work a little bit with that. But what the aim for today is to create the logging process. Okay, so we'll do that, and we will understand how we will do that. Okay, so creating all the tokens that's necessary and all the structure that it's necessary to do that. So let's go. Let's do that.
Nice.
Let me just change to the. There we go. Let's see if everything's right here. Yes, it is. There we go. Bruno is here. Bruno, are you in the session? Yes, you're in the session.
Yes, I just joined it.
Perfect. This is good. Okay, so the last episode of the God Stack, we were doing all the mutations about the user, and we kind of tested everything. We are using Sonia, I believe. I didn't remember if we did it. Yes, we did it in Sonia. That's perfect. So I showed you how to use the API and all of that. That's perfect. We tested if it's deleting and all of that, and it's deleting. One of the things that's a good thing to do, we could export this thing every time you create any route into the users or any other queries that you're creating, you should export the data. So I'm going to get just the current document collection. So it's going to do that, and I'm just going to export it as a JSON file. Yeah, a JSON file. Export, and let's get the projects, personal, TGS, API. And inside API, I'm going to create a folder called docs. It's the documentation of the API. When you're creating an API, it's good to have this kind of folder where you have some things about the project. Maybe you can put inside of here all the use cases that you have. Maybe the project owner and the project manager, they can give you a lot of documents about the API, where should connect or not. So it's good to create inside of here. I'm just using the name Insomnia, and that's all. So there you go, and now we have the docs with the Insomnia. If anyone wants to use the API, they can just go to the docs and import the Insomnia API, and they will have everything in there. And it's good to keep it updated if it's possible. So let's comment this. Let's make it go up. Docker compose up. See if it's working. Well, last time it was working. I believe that today is going to be working as well. We hope so. Beautiful. And one of the things that we've done and we need to improve when we are doing the there's actually some things here that we need to get better. The first thing, we need to get the whole, and we need to get the created by and updated by, and we need to improve the password. I will start with the password. Okay, so let's do this. Let's get I'm going to just get this file, copy, and then come here, and then I will explain you what I'm doing. So let's paste this file here. There you go. As you can see, we need this dependency. The crypto, it's a cryptograph library that we have in the Node.js, but the problem with this, it is that it's a very weak cryptography. So when we are inside the system, when we want to cryptograph something that's not that important, you can use crypto. But if you are working with something that's more sensible, just like a password, it's really nice to get a better library. What's the problem with Backend? It's slower. So when you put the Backend into the process of creating a user, you will see that it takes a little bit more time. It's not just like, you're gonna take a second to do that. It's not like that, but you will feel this payload in there. So the first thing that we need to do is to add the Backend library into the project. Again, we don't do that directly in the project. We do that inside the container. So let's do that. Docker execute iterable with terminal, and then the container that you want to do that, yarn, and then the command yarn add Backend. Let's see, yeah, this one. So we just wait a little bit, and let's see if this works. 1, 2, 3, and it's done. So now the crypt is working. So what I did here, I've created an object. Okay, so this object, I have the strong encrypt and the weak encrypt. The strong encrypt, it's gonna give me an encryptation with bcrypt. The weak one, we are just going to use the crypto. The fact that bcrypt is lower means that it will be harder to make a dictionary out of it. Exactly. And the bcrypt, as you can see, you can pass to this function how many steps you want to do the encryptation. So I'm just using 10 as I believe that's enough of encryptation. So it's just encrypt over and over and over again with 10 steps. But in our real website, you would like to use a little bit more, like 15. Locally, you could use like 5 just to test it, or 1. But this is the idea of bcrypt. So any hacker that gets access to the DB and tries to use our site with no dictionary will take a lot of time. Yes, exactly. And as higher this number goes, it's more difficult to get that information. You are absolutely correct, Albus. It's exactly that. So I'm just going to do 10 iterations, and I believe that 10 it's enough. It's a good one. Okay. So if you feel that 10 it's not enough for a system and you need more security, you just make this number higher, and it's going to be good. The only thing is, when you encrypt with bcrypt, you need to compare the password. You never again will be able to get the password and make it goes back. You just can compare and see if produces the same password. So once somebody creates a password like 1234568, you will never be able to make it go back again. You just, the only thing that you can do, you can pass a password and compare both of the results. And this is what this function will do. So it will compare. Some points in our system we will not need to this higher level of encryptation. Anyone reads this? Here's a really good short explanation about it. That's perfect. I'm going to get that and put into the video as well. It's actually in the video because now we have chat in the video, so everybody can have access to that. Perfect. Albus, thank you very much. It's exactly that. So if you will need any weak encryptation, there we go. We have this weak encryptation if you want to. This is just to create a random number, okay? And it's using to create a refresh token. We will talk about that in a moment, okay? So if I did that, the next thing I need to do, let me just get if it's yes encrypt. So export everything from, let's get that, it's encrypt.js. That's really good because now inside the core we have all these functions. So if we have all these functions into the core of our application, and again into the HTTP server interface, we have to do that, yeah. Into the HTTP server interface, we are spreading all the shared, and every what's the name, resolvers, every resolver that we have, it's able to access the context. This means that when I pass the context here now into the create user, I will have the password, okay? And how do I will use that? Well, if I have the context here, I can just do that. So I'm going to call context core encrypt strong encrypt. So it's going to go here. So this is the object. So I have the core here. The core means these things, and inside of these things we have the encrypt. Encrypt we have strong encrypt, compare, and all that. So this is what I'm using here. Context core encrypt strong encrypt, and using that to create a password. So let's check if this works. So let's create this. Okay, it's created a new user. Let's just see in the database how's that. Let's close it. Let's get to these table users. Let's see the users and see what's inside the user. There you go. Let's just go there you go. Now the password, it's not a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 that I did before. Now when I create my password, it's gonna be a hash just like this. Okay, so when I try to log in, I will need to do exactly the same thing to compare the password and do all of that. The next place that we need to do that as well, I will just...
It's a very strong password, and it's good to even the person who has the access to the database and have access to the password can't see what is the password that the user inserted when he created his user in the system.
Exactly.
So there, because just the compare function can just see if it's a valid password. So there is no way that anyone, even the person that is making the system knows what is the password.
Exactly.
So it's a very good.
Exactly. And there was a leak in the health ministry of Brazil. I believe that it was 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, that somebody just have access to the database. They just dumped the database and leaked this information, and the person didn't have this care with the information, so all the passwords was raw in the database, just like that. For example, let me just see if I can make it. Yeah, I can. So it was raw, just like that, instead of using something to encrypt the password. It's very important exactly because of that. Another thing that we can do here, as you can see, when we create the password, we have a approval token here. And what we can do, we can create a approval token in order to save it in our database, and we will do something that the user will check its mail to see if it's possible to use it or not. So let's do that, but instead of doing here, of course, the approval token needs to get here. No, actually we can use it here. So let's do this. So it's gonna be the encrypt. So, but I'm not going to use the strong, because it's just an approval token, and I don't need to have all these payload to do that. So let's see the encrypt. We have weak and encrypt. So let's just go back here, and instead of using the strong one, we're going to use the weak one. And I'm going to pass to this function the user email. So let's check again. This is going to receive a data. You can pass any data you want to. And this is going to use the crypto to do that. And it's going to use the SHA 256 to create the password. This is going, let me do the gold stack. Let's create this, the gold stack here. And now we need a hash secret to do that. If we don't pass the hash secret, it's going to use the gold stack. But I don't recommend when you are creating a hash to do something like this string or whatever. It's better idea to create a good hash. So let's do that. So let's get this hash secret here, and we are going to do that in the environment variables. Okay. When you are creating a hash secret, it's really important that you create something really random or whatever. I'm not going to do that here, but please, if you're going to do that or use this in productions for whatever, create a very secret hash secret. But somehow, let's just some really good hash secret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the worst possible, but please, if you're gonna do that in a better way. Okay. So now that I have the hash secret, let's save it. Let's get these and let's put it in here. Locally, we can just do that. Into production, what we're gonna do that, and we are going to do that. This means that somebody should come here and update this information when we are talking about production. Okay, nice. And what I need to do now is to put this into the API. So how do we do that? We do the hash secret. It's gonna be whatever it's in the .env hash secret. So I'm just going to copy this and put that into the production, and let's do that into the local one as well. into the production. We forgot to do that, isn't it? The production is not good. Let's just do that. Perfect. So port Nodejs WebM has secrets. Let's see, port, perfect. So this is all here. We need, of course, to start everything over again. And it's going down. It will go up. Perfect. Nice. Working. Oh, let's save it. Let's delete this. Create user. Okay. So now we have this encrypting working perfectly, and it's going to use the email to do that. It should, yeah, because the email is going to be unique. This should be handled. It's gonna be. I should put more information here, but where should I do that? Let's get these. Gonna date. I'm doing that because I want the approval token kind to be unique. So the weak encryptation always gets to the same hash. The strong, it's not going to get to the same hash. It's changed the hash with the time, but I don't want to use something that takes time. So I'm going to use the weak, and I'm going to merge the user email with a date. That the date is going to be the exactly second that that thing is going to be done. So this means that in the end, the approval token, it's going to be a hash that changes with the time. So this is seems to be better, I believe. Okay, so the thing that we need to do now is to get the whole and the create update users here. So what I'm going to do, now we need to do that and do return here, and then let's just delete this one and put it here, and let's just do that because we need to get the whole and the user, and the whole it's gonna be here, so it's gonna be whole ID, and then the user, it's gonna be here, user ID. That's perfect. Something it's not good. What's in the end? Let me just do that and see if it gets better. And let's do that. Something is not good here. Let's try to indent the software, make it better. Yeah. So this starts here, so this should end here. Perfect. This is the catch. This is the insert. Everything's good. What's the problem with all that? The return, and then I open it and closes it. Open it, close it. Oh, I hate when it happens. Let's just go back to the point that it was.
Put the cursor in the error.
Yeah, I just do that, return, okay, and then let's do that all over again, and then just do that. I forgot that it's with linting, with the linting process, it's always. Let's copy these again, use here, there we go. It's working. We need to improve it a little bit, so let's get the whole.id. Whole.id. So I need a function to get the holes for me, and I need a thing to get the user for me, user.id. Read user by username. So we need to get these these two things. So let's get the ready user by username. Okay, and there we go. read user by username. So I just pass the context and the username I want to. It's going to read the database, the user's database, where the username, it's the username, and then it's going to query these into the next, everything that we already know how this works, okay? And I'm just going to, of course, import it. Import, it's going to be this from this read users by username .js. There you go. And we need a function to read the whole by name as well. So let's just get that, read the wholes by name, and let's copy and let's paste it. Okay. And of course this does exactly the same thing the other thing does. So it's gonna be, you pass the whole name, it's going to fetch it for whole name, and it's gonna return a JSON with everything that we need. Okay, so we're gonna do exactly the same thing we did here, but instead of getting these, it's gonna be read whole by name JS, and it's gonna be read whole by name. Okay, now what I think that's going to happen, every time I've created a user, this user is gonna be an employee in the system, or the simple user, whatever I pass in the simple user. Let's just check, no, not here, the holes that we have in the system, not this one. Okay, so we have the regular user. Nice. So the hole is gonna be regular user. So I need both of these. Okay, so I need the user with the system. This one is gonna work, and then I need the holes. So it's gonna be regular user. Okay, I'm just going to create these into the environment. Okay, so let's get to the system user, and the other one, it is the simple user. Okay, the simple user should be regular user, and this one should be system. Oh, a mess. Word. Okay, so it's gonna be system.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah, you can read it.
How learn React do you recommend?
Yes, we are here. Hi, IQ Andy. First of all, welcome to the live. This is the God Stack. How learn React do you recommend? Yes, of course, I recommend to learn React, and we are doing the backend, but we will do the front end with React. So the same way I'm doing the backend and explaining everything that I'm doing code by code, line by line, we're going to do exactly the same thing in the front end with React. So when we finish this first step of the backend, we will go to the front end, and we will do everything from the very scratch with React, creating every file that we have. So
you create a React.js API from the ground.
Yes, exactly. And I will explain, we'll try to explain everything that we have in React. So we will talk about the states, how to work with props, hooks, and everything that's necessary to create a good SPA. Well, I hope he's there yet and could hear us.
Yeah.
I'm not all the time looking at the chat, but you can post your question, and if me or Bruno just look at the chat, we will try to answer as fast as we can.
Times could take a minute.
Yeah.
To answer, because I don't want to stop Breno in the middle of something. So when he have some pauses between the explanation, we will answer.
Yeah. And there we go. So what we need to do, that, and there we go. Simple user and system user. Now we have that into the file. We need to put that into locally as well, and I'm going to do this here. Go down, go up, and I believe that everything is gonna be good. Nice. So I can close this one, this one, this one, this one. The env. Oh, I forgot to save the env. Okay. So this is gonna work, and then what I expect, it's when we create a user, the whole idea of the user is gonna be a simple user, and the created and updated by, it's gonna be the ID of the system user. Okay, so let's go to the database. I'm going to, oh, not this one. I'm going to just delete these two. What? Okay. I just make it down, so I need to refresh. Connect, refresh. Let's see. Yeah, this is working. So save it. Perfect. I don't have users anymore. So when I go here and create a user, yes, it's created a user, and then let's check. So let's see what's the role ID of this one. Yeah, it's gonna be 44, and the whole ID is 44. It's a regular user. Nice. And the other thing, let's check the system user. It's the 000. So let's see if it is created by the 000. Perfect. And updated by 000. There we go. So now every user that's created in our system is going to be created when you audit this information. It's going to be created by the system user. Perfect. This is really good. And well, this is all working. The update process, it is indeed working. The encrypt, it's working. All the servers working. The index, it's working. This is how long it took? 100 to create a user with Backend. It's going to take a little bit of 106, maybe more, maybe 150, maybe less. So it's gonna be around that. 80 milliseconds to 150 milliseconds. That if you look around, it's a very good time to do that, using JavaScript for everything. So there is no problem with time, even if you're using JavaScript.
Right.
I believe that we have console logs. Yeah, we have in the server the console log in the server. Perfect. What we need to do now is to create the logging strategy. So let's do that. The first thing that we need to do.
Just one question about the create user function. If we want to create another user with another role, we could use a param to specify what kind of role do we want, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
You can in this case,
every user,
every user that's created into the data, into the system, it's gonna be a regular user. Okay.
Yes.
And but you have this information here. If you want to, you can, pass through to the user data that we have. For example, we have this information here. So you could, for example, pass the whole that you want to. I just don't recommend that for create user. When you do the create user, just do that softly, without anybody being able to do, because the create user, it's a anonymous QL. This means that everyone can access the create user. So
after created, we can
use an admin.
We can edit and update the role. Okay.
Exactly.
Nice.
And the update, we will have a business rule that if the user that's trying to do the update, it's admin, he will be able uh, to change the whole. But if it's itself it's not an admin, it's a regular user, it will block to do that. So we need to create these business rules into the system. But right now, we are just going to create it just like this, and everyone can just update without updating the whole. If I want to do right now, I can just change it manually into the database, but I'm not going to do that right now. But we will, in the future, improve the business rules that we have. All the business rules are here, so we're going to improve that. But
Very
I
nice.
just want to speed up a little bit because I want to do the logging process in order, because I want to go a little bit to the front end as well and start there and then go back and then see how these things works. Okay.
Cool.
So we need to log in. In order to log in, we're going to create a mutation to login. Why logging it's a mutation? Because remember, I've said that all the queries you are fetch information into the system, and all the mutations you are changing information into the system. So why do you think that user login changes in the system, Bruno?
That is a good question. Let me think about it for a second. Maybe we have some logs for authentication trials.
Yeah, it could
Yeah,
be, but
I almost have the same thought.
logging attempt.
Logging attempt.
Yeah, it could be that. But actually, the thing is, I'm going to use a standard called refresh token standard. So every time somebody logs in into the database, I need to create a refresh token to this person, to this login specifically. So if I'm going to create something into the database, this means that the user login, it's a mutation and it's not a query. This is the reason.
Okay.
So, why is it crashing? It's because I've created user login and we don't have a mutation of user login. We're gonna do that now. So I'm just going to just take a look if everything is here. Yeah, it's a very long process. So I'm just going to get these and let's talk about it. So it's gonna be a mutation. Let's paste it here, and there we go. So how's gonna be our login process? I will receive the username and password. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, and it's mandatory. Username and password is gonna be mandatory, and then I will receive back the user out. So the user out, it's a type associated to the user. So let's do that. There we go. I believe that this is this. Yeah. So the user out, it's gonna be the response. When we do a query doing the login, I'm going to create a response to the user with the token that's going to be used and the refresh token. Okay, nice. So let's just check the idea of the user login. The first thing that we need to do, get the user by username. Okay, so we need that function into the database. So get user by username. It's just the same thing that we have, but with username right now. So we're going to connect the users and select all the things, and I'm going to do some left joins to get the roles and the permissions as well. So when I get the user, I will get the user with the holes that the user have, the permissions that the user has, and everything. The user should not be a deleted user, okay? And where the username, it's just like equal the username, okay? And if I can get the data and the first data, because these always make us response as an array, so I just get the first one. If not, it's going to just return null, and this is some kind of errors happens in the database. It's just going to do the error handling right here. So this means that this one now is going to work. So I'm going to get the user with all the information into the database from the database. If I'm not able to get the user or the user ID, this means that the user does not exist into the database. So I'm going to say invalid user and password, and with a code invalid user and password. And then I'm going to do the compare. I'm going to compare the password that I'm receiving with the password that's in the database. So I'm going to use the compare process. So the compare process is going to get this password, do the same process that it did before, and it's going to get to a hash, and then it's going to compare both of them. Is this the same hash? Is this? So it's going to return a true or false for me. If it's false, it's because the password is invalid. You may be thinking, why don't you do the username? It's why don't I do that? It's invalid username, okay, and here it's the invalid password, just like that. I could do that because I know that the problem here is the username, the problem here is password. Why do we do that? Because we don't want people trying over and over and over again. Because if you respond that the username is the problem, says so I don't have the username, so he's just going to try a lot of times the username until he gets one. Then when he gets the username, this person, this hacker or whatever, it's going to try to get the password. So we always, when it's logging process, we always respond just like it's invalid. Whatever you send me, it's invalid. It's your problem to get these, and then we will have strategies to give a user opportunity to recover the password or whatever. We're gonna do that. Did you get it, Bruno?
Yes, got it.
Yeah, got it. Perfect. So the refresh token. So how are we going to do that? We're going to use the weak encrypt, and we're going to create a random refresh token passing the ID. This is just to create randomly. I just did that twice. It's not actually needed, but well, I just did that twice. Just pass the weak inside the weak, and then it's going to get the random data for refresh token. Again, this random data, it's inside the encrypt here, so it's going to do that. It's going to get the user ID plus some random number plus some the actual date, and it's going to return all these things, and then in the end this is going to be the refresh token. Okay, next thing you do, you delete the actual refresh token that the user has into the database. So I need to get these. Let's get that. Delete refresh token. So let's copy these. Just put here. Oop, I didn't. Copy. And then let's paste it here. Delete refresh token. What does it do? Of course, it's delete. But in this case, it's gonna use the delete process. It's not gonna be a soft delete. It's gonna be a hard delete. It's gonna actually delete because we don't want to keep this kind of information. It's not necessary. We just need to keep the last one. Okay, so just delete the refresh token. So the delete refresh token is gonna work, and then we will create another one. So let's just create a refresh token. There you go. How do we create the token into the database? The user is gonna be the user ID that we have. So we are passing here into the context. So I'm sorry, not the context, the second part. So it's gonna get everything that we fetch it from the user plus a refresh token. So when we do that, I'm going to get the ID, that's the user ID, the refresh token that we've created right now, valid until we will have these. It's an environment variable that can decide for how long the refresh token will be available in our software. If no one passes this information, it's gonna get 7 days. Okay, so let's just create these. Let's go to these, and but instead of 7, let's just do 15, half a month. Okay, and let's just get into production. Into production, the refresh token is going to be half a month as well. We're going to get these, and we're going to put it into the env as well. And Control S, Control C, and now we're going to do this thing in here. So refresh token expires in days. It's gonna be like that. I just copy. Okay, this is local. Let's put it to production as well, and let's do this in my one as well. Again, go down, go up again, and believe that everything's gonna work. Let's close these, close these, close these, close these. We don't need these, we don't need these. Okay, there you go, everything is working. So now I have all this information created by, it's going to be created by, of course, the user that's trying to log in, and updated by, of course, the user that's trying to log in. User email unique, I believe that we don't have this kind of, this is just things that's, yeah, it's not going to give me back this kind of error. I'm just going to do that. Perfect. This is maybe it's a Control C, Control V, it's just there. And error handling if any error happens. Okay, this is beautiful. Let's go back to the logging process. This is already working, and this is already working as well. Perfect. So now I have my token. The token is already created. The refresh token is already created. So I'm going to respond the refresh token plus the token. Okay, and now we're going to talk a little bit about the token, but I'm just going to put that into the core. So I have a create token function here. Okay, and let's put that into the core. Paste create token, and then let's do exactly the same thing. Export everything from create token.js. Perfect. What does the create token does? It creates a token using a library called Jwt Web Token. We need to add this library, so let's do that. Docker execute iterable with terminal in the API yarn add Jwt Web Token. This library is responsible to create a Jwt token for us. Okay, and this token, in order to create these, we need two different informations: a Jwt secret and expires in. If you don't pass a Jwt secret, it's gonna be secret. If you don't pass expiring, it's gonna be in 48 hours. But we are going to create it as well. So let's do all the process. So again, the Jwt secrets needs to be something really difficult to get. So don't do that I'm going to do. If you're going to work with that, just create a real difficult thing. So some really difficult thing as a secret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. And the other thing that we are going to, where is it? Yeah. And the other one is token expires in. But the token expires in, we're gonna say 5 minutes. So our JWT, it's gonna be just 5 minutes with lives longs. So what we're gonna do, I'm going to log in and I'm going to give back to the user a token and a refresh token. And the user is going to use the token to do all the other calls to the backend. In 5 minutes, this token is not to be available anymore. What are we going to do? We're going to get the refresh token, send the refresh token to the backend. The backend is going to give us another refresh token and another token. And then the front end is going to update the information there, and then it's gonna do the call again. We will see all these things working back and the front end, okay? But it's just a simple explanation right now. Now we need to save this, and of course we need to put it here. We need to put it here. Oh, we need to put it here. Here in production, JWT secret, okay, because I need somebody with a little bit of brains to do that. Okay, so let's get that and save. This is saved, and then let's just put this information in into here. What we do, we get that, we do that, and that, and a little bit of space. Very good. So now I can just copy these, save it, and let's do that. Should do that here and do that here. There we go. Now we have all this information. Just go down, go up again, and let's close these. I don't want that anymore. It's just going to go down. Okay, so this is just going to create a token with this kind of secret and this information, this user data. And then it's going to expire in 5 minutes, okay? And where is the user login? There we go, user login. So when you are creating a JWT token, you need to do that with some kind of information. The first thing you do, if you put does it work? If you put a CCDO in JWT, does it work? Do you mean here?
As a hash character?
Yeah, I didn't get Hafa. I didn't get if you're talking about the environment variable. Yeah, it's absolutely gonna work. You can do things like
whatever
these, and it's gonna work. The only thing is, maybe you're gonna have problems with the YML in the Docker Compose. If you do that directly here, just do like that. There's some chars that's not accessible by the YML file. So this is the reason we do that like this, like an environment variable, because the environment variable, it's a regular one, so I can create anything I want. So if you have any kind of problems because CCDO or sharp or well, any char that's not the regular one, like letters and numbers, you use the .env strategy that it's gonna solve your problem. I don't know if I answered your question. If I did, please manda salve. Send a salve for us in the chat. Nice. Understood. Thanks. Perfect. So, what what is needed to do in order to create a good token? We need to pass the user data. Okay. The sub. It's good to use the user ID, the user that's owns the JWT. Okay. So we're going to create here, it's going to be Node.js backoffice and Node.js, I'm sorry, and this is going to be the God stack. There we go. So what we're going to create here, it's the ISS. That's a name that you give to the API that was responsible to create the token. And then you create the AUD, that it's kind of the company that creates the token. So because this token, it's gonna fly over the internet and gonna pass through a lot of different servers, and somebody will get this information, because of course we're going to use HTTPS to do all of that for us. As I told you before, we're using traffic to do that, so we will have HTTPS, but it can happen that somebody gets this kind of information. And are you familiar with Python? Yes, I'm familiar with Python. I don't know why the question, but yes, I worked a little bit. I'm not a pro or a kind of senior using Python, but I know. Opinion?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same thing that we talked about every episode that we have. It's not about the stack.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not about
The language?
the language. It's about the engineering. Okay.
Yeah.
So if the Python works well, works better with what you are doing, use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that he's just
You,
asking an opinion about the Warus operator, but
okay.
actually I don't. Again, most of the time I don't get too much. Don't get my attention to the small details in the software development. I like to see the big picture, just like the engineering, what you're using, and things like that. I believe that for people that starting in the software development world, I saw that happening with a lot of people. They just get these, let's call it small talk about software development, that should the JavaScript do that with three operations, just like when you're doing if x equals y, should I do that, and some discussions just like JavaScript has problems because when you do these equals these, it's gonna say that yes, and the string and all that. So again, we can have long discussions about all these kind of things, Warus operators, and if JavaScript should do this and that. But I believe that this is just like when you are in a night with the boys, and well, night with everyone, not just the boys. Well, with going night, and you can talk with people about that. So, do you see that? Well, if you're in a night with people drink beer, you shouldn't talk about software development. I do, but don't do that. But I would do that in a place like that. But right here, I believe that we should, again, it's the God stack. In the God stack, it's not about the language or whatever. It's about the engineering. So this is what we trying to focus here. And for example, Albus, thank you very much for the information. He said that ESS, it's ES user. So, and then we have the expiration time, the sub, that's a subject, and now the audience. Again, all this information, when you are creating a token to your application, it's necessary in order to create a good token that can fly over the internet and people will understand where this is from and all of that. And then we will see in a moment all these things happening. So what I'm going to return is just that. Now what I need to do is to put the user login into the resolvers. So let's just get the user login JS and get it here, and there you go. Now I believe that we have a login. Let's just try to do that. I will create another folder called alt, okay, and let's create a alt here. So it's gonna be user login. It's gonna be post. It's always post with GraphQL. Not always. We will talk about that better in the future. So let's create a mutation. Oh, I don't have the API here, so refresh, and there you go. So we have the login, and the answer to the login that we want, it's the token and then refresh token. Okay, I need to give a username and a password, and let's see if it's working. It's working. It's invalid username and password. The users, let's get to the user. So these, I believe that we're going to log in. No, I created one. It's username and password. So username is this one, and what's the password that I did? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and let's see what happens. There you go. We received back a token, a refresh token. A refresh token is just a common hash thing that it's going to be saved into the database. So if you look at the database, we will have the tokens. Yes, the tokens here. It's saved here. That's the number of the not the number, string of the refresh token. And let's check this information. Let's copy, okay, and we can go to a website called Jwt Web Tokens, this one. So you can just paste this token here, and there it is. This is the user data. So this is the ID of the user. The user, it's not valid yet because I just created the user, and the user never went to the email to check if it's valid or not, but we're going to do that. So the sub, it's the user ID. The ISS, it's Node.js API, and the out, it's the God stack, and have the EIT and expiration time set. So let's check the expiration time. It's 22. It's just like at exactly perfect 5 minutes. It's working with 5 minutes. So and now you say, hey, but everyone can get a token and see the information. Yes, everyone that can possess this token can just put it in here and check the information that it's inside. You don't need a signature to do that. But if you alter anything, for example, I'm just going to do that and make it true. When you try to get these and pass it with this information changed to the backend needs to check the blue part of these, and it's gonna do a hash between the information you're sending, and it's going to use the secrets, just like you can see here. It's going to get the secret in order to get the information that's inside. But this information is public. The user data is public, the sub IS. So take really good care with everything that you put inside the user data. This is the reason, for example, I'm doing here. I'm just doing the ID, and I'm going to put the permissions that the user has inside the API. For example, let's get this user and made it a admin and save it. Let's go back to the Insomnia, log in again. The token changed, of course. And if I just do that, you're gonna see that this is an admin user, so it has permission, these kind of permissions. Okay, it's not sensible. This is not. You think that it is, but it's not sensible information. It's just say that this user has this kind of permission inside the system, but again, you can change this information in the token. You just can see the information, but you cannot change. If you try to change, you don't have the key to do that. And the key to do that, again, you have to take a real good care. It's this one, the JWT secret. So take a real good care with the JWT secret. Okay?
I have one question.
Okay.
Why do we need to put the permissions inside the token?
Well,
how this will be compared when when the request reach the server, reach the API?
We will have the we have the authentication and authorization process. Into the authorization process, we will get these permissions and see if the person has the permission to do what's trying to do or not. We're gonna do that in a moment, but it's a good question that you did, Bruno, because is it possible to do that differently? Yes, it is. But there is a small problem. Every time you call the backend should get this information from the database. So you have another call to the database just to get all the permissions for every single fetch, mutation, or whatever. Every time somebody talks to the backend needs to do a call to the database. I'm trying to avoid that in order to make our system faster. This is the reason I will put the permissions into the token, because when every call that somebody does to the API, I just need to get this information from the token. I don't need to call the database.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. You validate your token. If it's valid, you won't have to fetch the permissions again. Yes, it's perfect. We are going to do that. We're going to validate the token. If the token is not valid, we are just going to kick the user. We're going to send it back saying, hey, it's not a valid token, and do something about that. It's less call to the DB, but every user that it's valid into the system, we need to do this call to the DB. So I'm trying to avoid that as well. If you think that, or if you don't feel comfortable with this kind of approach and you say, no, I just want to pass the ID of the user and all the other information I'm not going to put inside the token, it's perfect. You just can remove it and you can do a database call to fetch the user by the ID and get all the permissions. You can do that as well. I'm just going to avoid, because I believe that's not sensible information, and we can just use that into the...
Yeah, it's a very good way to do that. It's not necessary to fetch the data, user permissions every time you made a request or query or mutation or whatever we want. Okay, it's
Exactly.
nice.
Exactly. This is the idea. Okay. So what we need to do now, we have the token, so the user is connected to the API, so it has its own token, and we need to do what Alba said. We need, every time somebody calls the backend, we need to check for that information, and we are going to do that just like this. So and then the user, it's gonna be just the user, just like this. And let's check for this. So I need to do into the core, I need to create something to check the token. Okay, so let's do that into the core. This. So what I'm going to pass to the check token, I'm going to pass the request and connections. Again, request it's when HTTP, connection it's when it is WebSocket. Okay, so if it's connection, it's a WebSocket, the token needs to be into the connection context token. Okay, in the idea of the API that we are creating, just person that has a token, it's able to use WebSocket. It's not, if you want anyone to use the WebSocket, so this should be something like that. And then you need to check for the token if it has or not. It has some securities, and you need to think about that. But in the idea of the system that I'm creating, just the people that has a token will be able to use WebSockets for subscription. We will talk about that in the future. Okay, and the HTTP request, we have two different types. People that does not have token, for example, somebody creating a user. So create a user is free for everyone just can create a user, so I don't need it, so the token is going to be empty. If the person has a token into the authorization, to the headers, so we're going to use this token. So this is just to check if the person has or not a token, and the token is going to be here. Now we need something to verify our token. So we need this thing to verify our token. Okay, what does it do? It gets the token and it creates a variable called decode. Okay, if the person has the token, we need to check with that. If not, we are going to return ID new. This means that we will get the user, but the user will have an null ID. And so every time we check the context user ID and the context user ID it's null, we know that's an anonymous person. So we can use that to do the authorization process inside the system. Okay, but if the person has the token, let's check that. So I'm going to get the JWT, and we're going to verify that using the JWT secret that we already created. If the person didn't pass this, I'm just going to use some serial secret. Actually, where's the schema? I don't have the same thing here, so it's not create. I believe it's user login. Nope, it's not here. It's gonna be create refresh token. Nope. Where's the it's in the create token. There you go. It's just secret. So I'm just going to actually get these and put it here in order to keep the same information. If nobody passes this JWT secret, it's going to be just some zero secrets. Perfect. So going back, it's going to verify. So the library, the JSON Web Token library, it has a verify process for us, and it's going to get the decoded. Into these, we're going to have all the information that it's this. We're going to get all this information. Okay, that's the payload information. So if the decoded has a sub, so it has not a sub, I'm sorry, it has not sub, this is not a valid token. Of course, if the verify is not possible, it's because somebody did some nasty with the token, so it's invalid token as well. I'm just going to return an error. And if the decoded it's a good one, I'm just going to return the user data that it is this part. So I'm going to pass the ID, if it's valid or not, and the permissions. Okay, so all this information, it's gonna be here in the user. As I'm returning into the context, this means that the context will have the user that's logged into the system, or a user with ID null that we know that this is a anonymous user. Okay. Any questions, Bruno? Any questions, chat?
No, good so far. I have a question, but I will make this question in the front end when we reach the authentication part. Okay. It's about the refresh token.
Okay. No problem.
I will make this in the future.
Okay. So what we need to do now, we need to try to make a call to the backend that it's authenticated. Okay. So let's think a little bit. The update user. Okay. So what's gonna happen? When I try to update a user, no, I need to first do that. Export everything from the first one is check token.js. The other one that's missing, it's export everything from token verifier, I believe. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. I was just missing that. So we are going to go back to the merge user, okay, and into the merge user process. What we're gonna do? We need to check if the person that's trying to update the user, it's the user itself, okay. And in order to do that, what I need to do is to do like that now. So okay, this if ID, it's gonna be just nope. It's this inside of that thing. Okay, it's like that. Okay, I'm not going to validate the data right now. We're going to talk that about in the future. I need some authorization process to handle this kind of information for us. Okay, so I have these into the, I'm just going to create that into the core. Okay, so it's going to be authorization, and we're going to understand how does that work. Let's paste it here. Okay, so the authorization, what does the authorization do? It will receive the context, the type, it means the what kind of permissions do you want to have into the system, and a ID. This ID will start with invalid. Okay, so this means that when I do that, I need to do a authorization. Let me just export it. Export everything from authorization, because I will forget that, and I just forgot the JS here. Perfect. So in the users, we know that the user has a permissions array. Okay, so if the user does not have a permissions array, we're gonna say it's not authorized. Okay, so if I'm trying to create an authorization for the user and the user doesn't even have any permissions, so there we go, you're not authorized. And has permission, what the has permission does, it's gonna find into the permissions array, of course, if the user has the permission, that's the type that's passing. And for example, when I'm trying to update a user, I will have if I'm trying to update a user, I need to have the user this means user update permission. Okay, so if you have the user permission, and this permission is into your permissions array, so it's okay. But if you don't, I need to check another thing. Are you trying to change something that's yours information? For example, when I'm trying to update a user, that's the idea. I'm trying to update a user. Do I have permissions to update user? For example, the admin, the administrator of the user, has this kind of permission. So it can change information from every user in the system. But the user that's not a admin, it's a regular user, this user does not have the user update permission, but it's trying to update its own information. So I'm going to let it pass. Okay, this is the reason I'm passing the ID here. So the ID, it's the ID that I'm trying to update. And if I check that the ID of the user I'm trying to update is the same ID of the person that it's logged in our system, so I'm just going to return true and say, hey, you can do that. If it's not, you're not authorized again. And if the user it's not valid, so if the user is not valid, we need to say you should validate your user first. And we will talk about that in a minute. But what I want to do is to create a system that the person creates a user into the system. This person will receive an email with a link. The person will click on the link. We go to a website. This website will validate the user and say, hey, this is a valid user, just because we want people to use email that's a valid email. Okay, so this is a flag that we have in the system that knows if the person is valid or not. And in the end, if all of these didn't give any kind of error, it's going to return a true. Okay, and this is just exporting the authorization. And going back here, so what I'm going to do, if the authorization process goes well, so the person can just update the user. And now we need to check that. So in order to check that, what should we do? Okay, so the first thing, I have a user that's an admin in the system. I need to create another user that's going to be a regular user. Let's call just Breno2. It's going to be mail2, username 2, and the password is exactly the same, don't worry. Okay, so if I try, okay, I need the token. So this is the login. In order the token to be a little bit more, how can I say, automatic, what we're gonna do, we're going to change the local environment. So manage environments, and let's create here a token thing. Okay, the token, it's gonna be, let me see, where's that? Response body attribute. Okay, and then just click here. It's gonna get information from the user's login, and you use $ to get information. So it's $data dot user login dot token. There we go. So this is the preview of this information. Okay, and then let's just do done. So into the token, now in the environment variable token, I have the token every time I log in. So if I log in, this token will be refreshed there, and I can use, for example, for updating. So when I try to update a user, now I need a authorization, and authorization I need to pass the token that's there. Okay. I logged in as a admin. Okay, this means that I can change my own information. Let's get all these. So as a admin, I want to change information from another user, and let's see if this pass. So it's gonna be this user, okay, and this is the user number 2. So let's call in number 3. So it's gonna be number 3, number 3, number 3, number 3, and let's send it. This user should validate. Of course, because I'm admin, but I'm not validated yet. I'm just going to do something here, and where's the token created? Approval token. I'm just going to set it to new. Set to new for the admin. Okay. This is what we're going to do with the approval token. Okay. We're just going to set it to new, and did I save? Yeah, saved. I'm going to log in again with the admin. So if you get the token and check the token, now the is valid is true. Okay. Okay, and now let's try to update a user. So I'm logged in as a admin, and I'm trying to update information from another user. When I do that, perfect. It works. Okay. Now I will try to get this user. Okay, which is this one, and I will log in as this user. Invalid username and password. Why? I just changed it. Email username. Yes. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Users. Yes. Have I created another password for this? It's not. I need to
take a look in to the create user. Yes.
Yeah, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So let's create this user.
I'm not sure, but I think you created with a 2 before the 8. Try that.
Yes, it's working. You mean the number 3?
2 before the 8. I don't have.
You have a really good memory. You have a really good memory, man. My God, it's a really good memory. I would never remember that I did. Good. Congratulations. This is really good. So now I'm logged in as a regular user. Okay. Let's just get this is the Breno 2, and just make it available as well. So it's gonna be available. Now what I'm going to try to do, login, yes I did. What I'm going to try to do, I need to try to change the information from the admin. Okay, so let's do that. And you're not authorized to do that. See? And why is that? Because this user doesn't have the permissions, and the ID of the user that's in the token and the ID of the user it's being updated, it's different. So you don't have authorization to do that. And if I do exactly the same thing in the login as a admin and try to update the admin user, let's just do some small updates to not break everything. So I'm just going to do admin here, and just do that again. You can do that. And if I try to update my own information, so let's log in with a user that okay, again number 2 here, perfect. So but this don't have the permission, does it? Let me just check it. Yeah, this is okay. So I'm the user number 2, okay, and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to update my own information. So let's try to update my own information, see if it works. Because I'm a regular user, I don't have permission. But if I want to change my own information, is it going to work? So let's just do the 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, and 5 here. And let's see what happens. There we go. It was possible to change my own information. So this is the authorization process, okay? Into the all the thing. So if we wait for 5 minutes and we try to do exactly the same thing, it's gonna to do a response that the token it's not valid. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep doing our software and wait for around 5 minutes, and then we're gonna check and see what happens. Okay. In this meantime, what we need to do is to create something called validate user. Okay, so we're going to create the validate user process. Why are we going to do that? Because again, I need people using a mail that's valid into our system. So let's just copy these, and this is going to be a mutation. Just going to paste here. So this is going to be the this is how we're going to validate the user into our database, our API. The first thing that we're going to do, we're going to get a user by token, okay? Because what I'm going to pass, it's a token. As you can see in the database, it's going to be this one, the approval token. So I'm just going to fetch the database and get the user using the token. So we need an infrastructure to that. So it's going to be get user by token. There you go. Copy and paste it here. Get user by token. There we go. So it's exactly the same thing that we do over and over and over again. So it's going to pass a token, going to get all the information with left joins, doing all the holds and permissions, and gonna check for the token with the user that's not deleted, and then it's going to return that information for us. Okay, and so this in the end we have a user. If you don't have a user, invalid user, I could not find a user with this token. I'm just answering back the front end, and the front end can do anything that's necessary. And then I need to validate the user with the token. So let's just get that, and let's paste here. There you go. So I need to validate this. In order to do that, I will get the approval token and make it new, just like I was doing into the database. I just click there and set to new, but I'm going to do that in the API way. So updated by, of course, it's going to be updated by the user that is doing that itself. And where the approval token, it's this token, and then it's going to return the data, but I believe that we're not going to use that. We just need to know if it's false or true. This means that, could I do that or not? Well, if I, not this one, it's this one. If I was able to do that, let's just do that. JS, perfect. If I was able to get the refresh, the approval token and remove it, so I'm just going to pass. If not, I'm going to say this is invalid. It's not invalid to user. It should be invalid token. This is not invalid to user. It's invalid token. This is invalid to user. Should I want to pass this information to the front end? I shouldn't. Could not find a user with this token. Yes, invalid token. Perfect. And this is the process that we have for logging. It's gonna to create a refresh token. It's gonna delete the last refresh token, create a new one, and then will answer a refresh token with token. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. We just need to add these into the domain as well. So let's get the validate user, and let's going to put it here. There we go. So now I can validate the user into the system, and let's check that. It's going to answer user, yeah, and then we need to put that into the let's just copy these and do that validate user.js, and then we copy it from here, put it in here, and then do that. Okay, why it's a mutation? Because when you do validate user, you're gonna change information into the database. If it's changing anything, it's a mutation. So let's do that here. New request, it's gonna be validate user. I post a GraphQL query. Okay, so we're gonna get the API here, refresh it, and mutation, and it's gonna be a validate user. Okay, we need to pass a token, and we're gonna get one in a moment. Oh, not this one, this one. Then we're going to receive back the token and refresh token. Okay, so let's test it. I'm just going to get this approval token, okay, and put it here, and see if we receive back a, there we go, we received a token and a refresh token. 37 milliseconds. It's really fast. I really love JavaScript. It's not what some people say that it is. It's always the engineering. You will see in the future we doing all that with token, fresh token, workers, whatever that's needed, and in the end it's gonna be really fast. Just like let's put a marking here. It should never do something with 500 milliseconds. If we do anything that gets more than 500 milliseconds, we will redo that and try to improve that in order to get every time not more than 500 milliseconds. That's the idea. Just JavaScript everywhere. Okay, nice. So we have the validate user. Okay, let's try to update the user again. Refresh schema. And oh, there we go. Remember that I said that in 5 minutes the token's gonna be dead. That's what happened. Now the token is dead. So we should, if I was the front end now and I receive the invalid token, what I should do is to get the refresh token that I have and send this refresh token to the backend, and the backend should give me back another token, refresh token. So we need to do that. Okay, so let's do it. I'm just going to do, it's gonna be a mutation, of course. There we go. This is gonna be the refresh token. Of course, I need a thing to get the refresh token. That get the refresh token, and let's put it here. So get by refresh token. Again, the same thing. You pass a refresh token, and this is gonna fetch for the user with all the information that's needed to the user, and send it back to this thing. Let's just update it. .js. Perfect. So
Can you explain a little? Can you explain a little bit of the flow that it's that makes this refresh token work? Because in my mind, I really think that seems like when I have the refresh token, it's enough to have a token, a valid token. Because
yeah, it is.
what about I discover the refresh token? Maybe
yeah. What?
I am
Yeah.
go for it. Go for it.
The thing is, the problem that this strategy is trying to solve, it's the man in the middle problem. So let's get. Let me see if I have my thing available here. Yeah, I do. There we go. Let's use Paint. Yeah, I'm going to use Paint. Okay.
Senior, Paint Senior.
Yes, it's the senior, the senior Paint software engineering. Okay, so I have the front end. Let's make it. We should make it right. New discard this information. Perfect. Oh, my eyes. Okay. This is the front end. Okay, so I have the front end here. So this is the front end. Okay, and this is the back end. Right. The first thing that we do, the first call that we do, it's the login. Okay. When this is really small, isn't it? So let's get a.
Breno is shining. Look at the camera.
Yeah, so the first thing that we do is the login process. When we do, this is not actually brown. Let's delete it. So the first thing that we do is the login process. Okay, so this is the login process. The server will answer a token and refresh token. Okay. So
Okay.
the server will answer a token and refresh. Okay. Let me just get a little bit back. Yeah. There we go. Token refresh. Now the front end has a token and refresh token. For every next call the front end does, it's gonna pass the token, just the token. Okay. So for the next 5 minutes, every time the front end calls the backend, it's gonna use the token. So if anyone's in the middle of this process, because when a front end calls the backend, it's gonna pass through a lot of servers and a lot of computers, and in the middle of that, somebody can get the token. So this person has the token that is valid for 5 minutes. Okay. Things that we do to prevent that, it's to use HTTPS. This is one of the reasons we do the HTTPS, because HTTPS creates another layer inside the request that you're doing that protects the token. Okay. But if anyone gets the token, it just has 5 minutes to do whatever it wants to do. Okay. This is the idea. Now the person just have 5 minutes. And the thing is, the person takes a lot of time to pass through the HTTPS thing. And if pass through the HTTPS thing and takes a lot of time, it's gonna get a token that's almost valid, because we just give the person 5 minutes to do that. And the token, it's almost dead, so the person doesn't have much time to do that. And then I will have the refresh token, because in the moment the token dies, I need to call the backend passing the refresh token. So the refresh token, it's just going to be passed every 5 minutes. Not every 5 minutes, because the person needs to do requests to the backend every 5 minutes, and this is not what happens in the front end. The front end is just using, and the person just go do something with this life and then come back. So you don't know when it's going to be the time that the person is going to use the refresh token. So this makes the things be a little bit more secure. So when you pass the refresh token to the backend, so for every new request, oh, not this one. So for every new request, the user is just going to use the token. Okay. Token for the next 5 minutes. Okay. When the token is not valid anymore, the front end should call the backend, and it's gonna pass now the refresh token. Refresh token. Okay, so it's gonna pass the refresh token, and the server it's gonna give it back. Oh, not this one. This one. The server is gonna give back the token and refresh token. And now the front end has a new token, and it's gonna do all over again, doing this thing that they do. Okay, so this is beautiful, but let's see that happening in the code. Okay.
Okay, maybe I have to see this working, because to me it seems like the refresh token, it's more like a breach in the security, because I don't use it in many projects that I work on, but because I think I never understood exactly, but seems like if in this meanwhile, in between these 5 minutes, if I am a malicious person and I don't know, I grab this token, somehow I have the access on the computer, and I don't know, I grab the refresh token in the local storage. Many systems uses the local storage, and I use this refresh token to grab a new token and refresh token. Now I have access in the system, and seems like the JWT token is a lot more secure, and I don't know why grab another one every 5 times, every 5 minutes, but I don't know. It seems to me that refresh token is a breach. By maybe I don't get it right. I don't know. I need to see this work. I need to see the how it's built. That's why I'm here to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, let's finish this, and
Okay.
let's do all that process that we've created in the Paint that I did wonderfully. Uh, person, well, I really good with Paint, as you saw.
Maybe someone in the chat have some thoughts. Just share with us.
Yeah,
I would like
if you like the
to know.
refresh token strategy or not. But the thing is, if you don't use the refresh token strategy, what you doing in the end? It's use a JWT token with 48 hours long, and this is not secure, because the person has access to the system forever, not forever, but for 48 hours. And what the refresh token is trying to avoid, it's a person to get a token, a JWT token, and can do nasty things into the API for a long period of time. So this is what we're trying to avoid. So again, let's do all the things, and then we will think about that with the code in our hands.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the refresh token, I'm just going to pass the refresh token, get the user that has that refresh token. Okay. And if I don't get the user ID, invalid refresh token, send it back to the front end, and the front end will do whatever it wants to do with that information. And then we will get a new refresh token. We're going to delete the old one, create a new one with that new refresh token, create a new call to the front end, a new response to the front end with this new token, and the same information that we have, which is gonna be Node.js API. Node.js API, this is gonna be the God's map. There we go. So, and now I have a new token and refresh token. Okay, So I need to do this refresh user token, of course, in the domain as well. So let's do that. So I have the refresh user token. I'm just going to do this to put things that's user logging or whatever together. Okay. So what I need to do now is to go to the resolvers and do the same thing. Refresh token.js. Gonna do that, and that. There we go. Okay, and now we are going to go to the out and create a new request that's a post and a GraphQL query. Okay, we are going to get the API here, and let's update it. Okay, mutation, and there you go. Refresh token. In order to use the refresh token, we need to pass a refresh token, and what we're going to receive back when we do that, the token and refresh token. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, this is the process that the user is going to do. Okay, I'm just going to do the logging. I'm just going to do that with the admin first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it? Yeah, but this is not the admin. Let me just do that. Yes, it's the admin. Okay. The update. The update has the number 2. This is the reason that it's okay. Yeah. No. Okay. So when I log in, I will receive the token and the refresh token. Okay. So let's check that into the database. Tokens. And let's update it. We have 3 of them, but we just need to check that's for the user. Let's see if it is it's 88. It's the last one. There we go. The last one. Here it goes. So we have the refresh token. For every call I do to the backend, I'm going to use the token, the Jwt token. Okay. So this is the reason, this is the thing we put into the header. When the 5 minutes pass, this token is not going to be valid anymore. The information that the front end is going to receive is this one, invalid token. Okay? When the front end receives a invalid token information, what the front end is going to do, it's going to use these it's going to use this GraphQL, this QL, and it's going to pass this token. Okay, there we go. It's going to pass this token. With this token, it's going to receive back a token and a refresh token. And then the front end, it's going to save these somewhere and save these somewhere. Okay, and more 5 minutes to do whatever it needs. The thing is, when I do the logging and I received the token, I was able to use this for 5 minutes. If anyone gets my Jwt token, I'm not going to pass, as you saw in the headers, I don't pass the refresh token in the headers every time. The only thing I pass in the authorization header, it's just the Jwt token. So this is the only thing that's going forward and backward. So it goes to the API and back from the API. It's just this token. Okay. 5 minutes, the token is not valid anymore. You're gonna receive invalid token. It's gonna call this refresh user token, and the refresh user token is gonna give you back another token and another refresh token. And the refresh token that you have, it's gonna be deleted from the database. So if a person gets the refresh token, it's already too late. Because as you imagine now, when I do this call, I delete the refresh token from the database. As you can see here, I'm going to delete the refresh token from the database, and I'm going to create a new one. So in the moment that the man in the middle gets my refresh token, it's already not valid anymore. And the token is not valid anymore. So it's more secure. Did you get it?
Yes, I got it.
Do you have
Yes, I got.
any doubt about
Yes,
that?
I got it. And I just think that if somehow, right, the malicious person grab that refresh token in between these 5 minutes, make the request to the server. He will have the authorization, but I think it's the same that discover the JWT token because but this way we can make sure that 5 minutes later it will be it will be replaced.
Exactly.
So yes, I think it's more secure. I
Yeah.
just because if somehow he discovers the refresh token, he will also discover the JWT. So
Yeah.
this way is more secure because it's refreshing. If
Yeah.
some if he is not able to make the request between these 5 minutes, he is not going to have the authentication in the server.
Yeah.
So yes, I
So
got it.
yeah. So the idea of the refresh token, it's secure because again, in the moment you call the backend passing the refresh token, the man in the middle that gets the refresh token, it's already too late because this call was already made to the API. The API already changed the refresh token, deleted the old one, and sent back to the front
Yes.
end the new one. So this is how you do this process.
Yes, it's because we have some breaches in HTTP, but it takes time to break. So this way we can make sure that every 5 minutes this will be replaced.
Exactly, exactly.
Cool.
And let me just see because this is not being used. I'm just going to delete that. And I believe that with that we have almost everything that's needed to work with the user, creating user and logging user and all the things process. I believe that the only thing that we need to do is, of course, the list user should not be available for everyone, and the delete user as well should not be available for everyone. But we will start the next live with this, just creating the authorization process into the list users and delete user. And in the next session, we will work with tests. Okay, this is one of the things that most of the people just, let it go. But it's very important to have tests in the API, and that's what we're gonna do in the next session. So I believe that I don't know if she's in the chat right now, but Deborah is gonna like it a lot because she's a QA. Maybe she can help us with that as well, giving us some hints about that. So what I want to do now, well, of course, it's to say thank you for everyone that's here, that's still here, it's still working, well, seeing this live. So thank you very much for your time, and we will be here every Tuesday and Thursday. And well, I see you next Tuesday and Thursday. We are creating the backend. Next one is gonna be the tests, And the next session, I believe that we'll get to the front end. So we will use React. I believe that somebody in there asked for React, so we're gonna do that. And well, thank you everybody. Thank you, Bruno.
Yes, guys. Thanks
Last.
for coming. See you the next time. And see you, Bruno.
See you as well. I'm gonna send you guys to Daniel Hart. The last time that I've sent you, he was already finishing the live. You should saw it's a really good guy and a really awesome streamer. So
Thanks to Albas also.
thanks
He's
to Albus
always
as well. Thank you very
collaborating.
much for the
Collaborating.
collaboration. And
Yes,
if
he's
anyone has any doubt, you can contact me. Just go to the Discord, send a message. You can send a message to me as well, to Bruno. We will do the best that we can to help you. Okay, if you want to know the Discord, it's just in the description of the channel. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good night and until the next one.